What is up, you awesome kissers of the CistReactZ, guys? Today we're reacting to Game Theory's FNAF, The Grave Robber, Five Nights at Freddy's. So yet again, Game Theory has another Five Nights at Freddy's theory, even though he says he's done. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe and check him out. Bob, here we
go. Another day, another installment in the FNAF multimedia conglomerate.
So I'm assuming he's gonna be talking about the
some
books
people in the
then?
FNAF community really hate my guts. Like, ring me through a meat grinder and feed me to a rabid dog animatronic levels of hate. Like,
wait,
for
rabid
instance,
dog?
this comment, and I'll read it exactly as written to stay true to his authorial intent. Quote,
Oh,
as
bet.
a hardcore FNAF fan, he's an embracement to FNAF tourists. He insists on using the box to proof his stupid theories, and they don't even make sense. He sooks and thinks he's smart, but he's not. I wish he would stoop.
Yeah, this sounds
then
like
goes on to rant for a paragraph
sounds
about
like an
how
angry FNAF
unrealistic
fan.
time travel is in a franchise
been
about
like this since
robot rabbits
2016,
haunted by
so-
ghost metal, but
I understand. It's been like that since 2016. FNAF fans go insane and like heavily defend the series, even if they're wrong sometimes.
I think you get the point. And though I use this one really over-the-top extreme comment as an example, seeing stuff like this is a bummer. Because I don't know if you can tell, but I really do like this franchise.
It really does.
I see
show
my
that the
role
human
in it
race
as a
has a
person
decline
just
sometimes.
connecting ideas or presenting new threads to consider in a franchise that at this point is
Recording.
massive and really confusing. But his comment does bring up something that I should probably address at the top of this episode since it'll be relevant for today. My use of the, how did he put it? The box to proof my theories.
The box?
Here's the thing, friends. I think
The
this
box
is
is
something
dead,
that
isn't
both
it?
sides could use as a reminder.
Like, didn't
Both my
Scott
FNAF
say the
theory
box doesn't
followers
even
and
mean
my
anything?
FNAF theory haters. There is a difference between canonicity and continuity. And I think a lot of the
Canonicity and
times in these sorts
continuity.
of discussions, they get confused with each other. Something being listed as canon just means that it's official. It is blessed by the person who is overseeing the rules of the universe. It is
Canon.
self-consistent
Canon
within the
stamp, I like that.
boundaries of that fictional
This man
world.
made a whole
On the other
canon
hand,
stamp.
a continuity, at least as I'm referring to it here, is a timeline of events, a continuous story thread where one event leads to the next that leads to the next. Take Star
Yes.
Wars as an example. Rey having magic healing powers in Rise of Skywalker, or Leia flying around like Mary
Continuity.
Poppins in The Last Jedi. Because they're appearing in official works of the franchise, those powers thereby get the green light as being canonical powers of the Force in the overall Star Wars universe. The problems people have with them, though, is that they don't fit in cleanly with the continuity that was previously established.
okay.
If Force healing is in fact a
idiot.
thing, then why hasn't it been used to save literally anyone before this point in the series? Tell you what, it would have been really handy for old Qui-Gon Jinn over there in episode 1, but the fact remains, healing is now a canonical Force power, which means that the canonicity of certain powers is presenting challenges to the established continuity of events that came before. Now, this is where FNAF comes in. You see, you can have multiple continuities all existing under the same canon, and it appears as though this is how the FNAF franchise is working. The original novels and the original games exist in an alternate universe from one another. They are separate continuities, and yet they are all deemed canon. This was all expressly stated by Scott years ago. Quote, so yes, the book is canon, just as the games are. That doesn't mean that they are intended to fit together like two puzzle pieces. The book is a reimagining of the Five Nights at Freddy's story, and if you go into it with that mindset, I think you'll really enjoy it. End quote. Now, what I've been trying to do with my theories, and what I think some people on both sides misunderstand, is that I'm not trying to use the books to solve a continuity. I'm trying to use the books to establish a canon that will then allow us to solve a continuity. The books present us with themes, concepts, characters, and motivations in one continuity that can then inform our understanding.
Sorry, why does a Nard have like a black hoodie? You guys can't even see my mouse cursor, but like, Jesus Christ. Okay, what I was saying was, man, MatPat gets really creative with the PNGs he uses.
Of a separate continuity, or at the very least give us questions that we can ask of that continuity. Charlie, being a robot in the books, tells us that in the canon of the Five Nights world, passable humanoid robots can actually be a thing. So are there any characters in the games who this may or may not apply to? I don't know, but it's a question that we owe it to ourselves to ask because it's been established to be canon within this franchise. Do we know what these little pins are on Baby's design here in the game? No idea. In fact, most people probably didn't even remember that they existed in the first place. But in the books, they play an important role. These are the things that allow Baby to transform into a human disguise. Now, is that necessarily what they're doing in the game? No, definitely not. Is the best and likely only clue for what they really are coming from a separate continuity? Yeah, in this case, yes it is. This isn't us trying to shove puzzle pieces together like Scott warned us against. It's about seeing that in one puzzle, there's a piece that fits in a certain location, and in a separate puzzle, you have a similar piece that might end up acting in a similar way. And here's the thing, you don't have to take my word on any of this anymore. Scott recently made a new post about all of this to clarify the situation.
Oh, did he?
In response to the question of whether the lore of FNAF is solvable, he said this: "All I can do is say that some questions will be answered, even if it may not always be the answer you wanted. Be patient." Let me at least say this.
Be patient. We've been patient for like 10 years.
But look to the novels to fill in some of the blanks to the past. So there you have it, from the creator himself. Does including the books in our discussions make things messy and complicated? Sure, but remember what franchise we're talking about here, friends. Messy and complicated is like the formal first name that Five Nights at Freddy's never uses. Call it McFNAF. Messy, complicated Five Nights at Freddy's. The long and short of it is that when it comes to this franchise, we as theorists have always had to be discerning over what clues are helpful and which ones are just red herrings. This is no different now. Back when we only had the games, we did it with the number of Foxy Toes and Freddy buttons. Did a missing button mean
Foxy Toes? Well, that was an actual thing?
No. Now we just have to do it with time-traveling ball pits and sound illusion discs. And here's the last thing I'm going to say on the issue, and hopefully it's the last time that I have to talk about it. At this point, where there's soon to be more books than there are games in this franchise, take a minute to wrap your head around that one.
Oh,
to dismiss the books entirely at this point is just short-sighted. And I'm not just saying that because we're referenced in the new book Fetch. Yeah, seriously, we're in it. From page, well, I read it on digital, so it's like page 250 out of 3,127.
I need to read that book.
Greg did tune back in, though, when Kimberly Bergstrom raised her hand. Well, he sort of tuned back in. He heard her question, "Is this just a theory?" She probably didn't actually say it that way. That was just my creative interpretation of that line. "Look, Ma, I'm an inside joke hidden inside the second installment of a multi-volume scholastic book series. I've made it."
Imagine if Scott just made that because he wanted
Let's
to.
talk about this new book and what it means for the franchise,
Matt Pat
shall we?
intended.
Fazbear Frights number 2 Fetch was recently released, and it is, well,
but come on,
if I'm being honest, it feels much less connected to the series than the first one. Don't get me wrong, the stories are still really good, if not even darker than the original 3. I mean, one has a young girl outright being mauled to death and wrapped in a sheet while she lays there dying, so pretty intense stuff. But the connections to the main lore are definitely
catch up on the
bit
FNAF books
shakier this time around. I mean, the first book, Into the Pit, featured cameo performances by Golden Bonnie, Baby, Funtime Freddy,
Golden
the
Bonnie
Missing
actually
Children's
got a
Choir,
thing?
and more. This one, meanwhile, introduces us to a lot of new things. A smartphone-powered animatronic dog named Fetch, tiny free-roaming versions of Freddy Fazbear called Lonely Freddies. We do get some quality time with Plushtrap, but, you know, it's Plushtrap. It's like the D-stringer in the FNAF canon alongside the Bitty Babs and the Endoskeleton 2. Is that a hot take? Did I just offend the Plushtrap stands?
Possibly.
I mean, the runt barely squeaked into Ultimate Custom Night as is. I'm just saying here, guys. Anyway, let's walk through these 3 new horror stories and what they mean for the franchise, shall we? Story number 1,
really
Fetch. Greg and his 2 friends, Hattie, and Cyril live near
Dang, this is
Olympia,
spoiling the book for
Washington.
me.
Greg feels compelled to explore an old abandoned Freddy's restaurant where he discovers Fetch, a fearsome animatronic dog with sharp teeth and an even sharper understanding of texting lingo. Quote, "How long has this place been empty?" Greg asked. "Fetch looks like he's older than my dad, but smartphones haven't been around that long." End quote.
Dang.
After getting scared out of the pizzeria, the dog goes on to fetch whatever Greg wants with increasingly disastrous results, killing a dog, ripping his uncle's finger off, and eventually retrieving his school crush in the worst way possible. It's actually a pretty simple story, but there are 2 big things to call out about it. First, it continues a theme that we're starting to see develop in these books. Kids are being drawn to these restaurants. It's never explained in the story, but Greg feels compelled to go to Freddy's by some unseen force. Quote from the book, "This might be what he'd felt in the field, what had called him here." And again, a bit later in that chapter, Greg was afraid he might not have gotten what he was there for, had he done what he was meant to do. End quote. Greg is now the second character to have some sort of psychic connection to these restaurants. As I talked about in our last theory, Oswald from Into the Pit had the exact same thing, where he inexplicably found himself drawing horrific animatronic monsters without ever knowing about Freddy's to begin with. It's also worth noting that both are the first stories in their respective books. It'll be interesting to see whether this trend holds in future installments. The second important part of the story, though, is that it clearly establishes Freddy's as a place where technology is advanced far beyond where the rest of society is. As I read in that earlier quote, Fetch can connect to smart devices like cell phones despite being older than the kid's parents. The reason I call this out is that in theory crafting for this franchise, I've seen a lot of theorists use the more modern, sleeker designs of the Funtime animatronics to put them later in timelines. But it seems like this story is telling us that those sorts of details don't matter. Freddy's is and will always be fantastically ahead of the curve when it comes to technology, especially technology for kidnapping small children. There was a bit more in that story about random event generators and plants/machines being able to read our minds and summoning stuff to you via mental focus, but I can't quite think of how it's important to any of the actual overarching narratives for the franchise, so maybe it's a discussion for a mini-theory at some point down the line, but for now, I'm just gonna skip it. Story number 2, we'll come back to in a minute, as that one has the most to discuss. Story number 3, out of stock. A new Plushtrap toy, the Plushtrap Chaser, a light-activated chomping green rabbit, is all the rage, selling out at stores across the nation. It also retails for $79.99, so Scott be making those fat stacks both IRL and in the book world for his killer merch.
Swear, Freddy's always has the
Oscar,
weirdest,
fed up with never getting what he wants,
pricing and pay.
the last one that someone had supposedly returned for being defective. Quote,
just to get killed.
Is it just me or do the teeth look wrong? Isaac pointed at the straight, slightly yellow, human-looking teeth that were visible through Plushtrap's partly opened mouth. And what's with the eyes? He reached out and poked one of the cloudy green eyes. Ew. He whipped his hand back and flicked his finger. It's squishy. And
it's
real. After 2 days of it doing nothing, the Plushtrap suddenly activates and terrorizes Oscar and his friends, chomping through the house's doors and garages just trying to bite them.
Those teeth are good.
Their only protection is that Plushtrap freezes in the light. Quote again, he was turning the box over and over in his hands.
Freezes in the light, just like FNAF 4.
Was a critical detail. Walks in the dark, freezes in the light.
You guys gotta catch me all of these books.
A few hours and a comedic number of faulty flashlights later, the boys destroy the monster at last by luring it in front of an oncoming train. A few things to call out here in this story. First and most obviously, it explains Plushtrap's behavior in FNAF 4. He really is just a haunted toy that goes on a rampage and is stopped by the power of flashlights. So it's cool to make that lore connection with Plushtrap's original minigame. We also know, based on the story, that Plushtrap apparently has the ability to mimic voices. He has a speaker system built in under his fur and is able to mimic the voices of Oscar's mother and friends.
Of course he'll have some
this
stupid
is a
thing.
really interesting
wasn't one of the sister location animatronics able to do that too? I'm pretty sure Matt's gonna explain that most likely. But I think it was Funtime Foxy that was able to mimic voices, like your dad's voice, so he could lure you into the back and then take you.
Detail because up until this point, the only voice mimics in the franchise have been the Funtime animatronics, with their built-in systems intended to lure children away from their parents so that they could
I should have just
grabbed.
let him explain
this
it and not answer
the possibility that Plushtrap was either a prototype for those larger models, testing out the voice mimicry software, or was himself a Funtime-era animatronic. Whereas up until this point, all us theorists have classified him alongside the other nightmares from FNAF 4. But the last, and most important thing to call out, though, is the fusion of human parts and animatronic parts. The story makes it very clear that the Plushtrap Oscar runs away with has both human eyes and teeth. Quote from the book, Raj turned to Oscar. You managed to steal us the only Plushtrap chaser that looks like a half-human hybrid, end quote. Now, this idea of a half-robot, half-human animatronic is a completely new concept for the series. But is it? You see, in FNAF 4, we had ourselves Nightmare, the black, transparent, spooky bear that, if you looked closely enough, had a human brain in its head as a part of its design. A detail that pretty much all of us dismissed. I mean, all of us glossed over Nightmare in general is just like the embodiment of death. The game's Grim Reaper,
and we just thought he was just like the final boss.
In his hospital
but why does he have a brain in his
just
head?
A figment of the boy's haunted imagination.
Is he like
with
real?
This context from Fazbear Fright, could Nightmare have actually been a real experiment? Was William Afton in his quest for immortality, or Henry in his quest for more lifelike robots, testing the human brain's ability to survive in
this is exactly why I need to catch up and stop being stupid with this game. I didn't play FNAF VR fully, but I got the idea that William Afton was there was a William Afton 2 as a glitch, and he was setting himself inside of the game devs, and they're under his control, and now there's a cult for William Afton or something. But was that all just a part of his goal for immortality or something? Is that why he killed the kids? I don't even know. And then Henry, to make real life animatronics? I didn't even know all this. Like, I need explanations. I need to read the books. I need to finish FNAF VR so I can be ready for this new one that comes out. I'm sorry, guys. Jesus.
Operate an animatronic
I'm lost.
body. This would make Nightmare the literal
That's
Frankenstein's
stupid for me to be lost in
monster
this
for
game,
family
exactly.
entertainment dining. And even though I say that jokingly, it's also something that appears in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNAF Help Wanted,
Wait,
where
wait,
we
wait.
act. It's also something's monster for family entertainment dining. And even though
Monster
I say
for
that
entertainment
jokingly, it's
dining?
also something that appears in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNAF Help Wanted, where we
What does
actively
he have, a brain
program a
too?
brain and insert it into
See,
Dreadbear.
I just guessed that and I got it right. I didn't even play the Dreadbear, but I heard about it, but I didn't play the Dreadbear. Wait. No, I did play the Dreadbear DLC for one video, but I never had this close interaction with Dreadbear. I didn't even know that you could get close to him. I thought he was just the big animatronic. That was just a theme for the DLC. Man, like I said, guys, I'm sorry.
Before Hand Unit tells us this.
Well done. It's time to introduce the creature to the kids for focus testing and troubleshooting.
We know, based on the original trilogy of books, that Afton was obsessed with recreating living metal just like those original haunted animatronics. I see Nightmare, Dreadbear, and this Plushtrap all as potential experiments looking to do exactly that. Lastly, we come to story number 2, Lonely Freddy's. My personal favorite of the bunch. In this one, we have rebellious teen Alec looking to expose his goody two-shoes sister Hazel for the fraud that she really is. Alec, in this story, is actually a really tragic character. He's a teen who acts out because he's ignored by his parents, and the main reason he's trying to bring down his sister is because she is always the one who gets the attention. The two of them inexplicably team up to torment their parents in the lead up to Hazel's birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's, with Alec planning on double-crossing her the day of the party. When the day arrives, Alec's plan backfires. It's revealed that Hazel is truly just that pure and good of a person. It's been Alec who's been the jerk pushing everyone around him away, thinking himself as the victim when he was actually making himself into the victim. With the parents just trying to cater to his needs and Hazel just wanting a brother who liked her, Alec runs off, ashamed of his actions, and hides in the storage closet. Just as he starts to make a promise to change for the better, he meets with a short little lonely Freddy, a free-roaming 2-foot doll made to entertain kids that are ignored or forgotten about at parties. But things are never quite what they seem in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The cute little bear hypnotizes Alec and then
So he's the so Alec was the one on Scott Games, I think, or yeah, it was on Scott Games. It was like, I think it was like some blonde dude like him, I'm assuming, or it was just like it was either some brown-haired kid or some blonde-haired kid, and it was like being hypnotized by the Freddy bot. So that was him. It was foreshadowing this guy.
Imprisoning Alec's consciousness inside the tiny bear
See
body.
that?
From that moment, there, sitting across the table from his sister and his parents, was Alec. It was the same rumpled t-shirt he'd thrown on that morning before the party. The same ripped jeans.
What?
The same unruly golden curls. His light green eyes.
This is getting me
Hey,
to do my
Alec
what's
said,
from
the
like
voice in
years
his head
ago.
quiet at first, but quickly it was screaming,
no
"Hey,
one else
that's not
louder.
me! That's not me!" His eyes, his stolen green eyes and his stolen body gleamed at Alec. And then, the fake Alec smiled. As Alec, trapped in the lonely Freddy, was carried away by a store employee, he saw fake Alec wink at him from the table.
Wow.
Before returning his attention to a smiling, happy family. Dark, right? And Alec isn't alone. After he's puked on by one of the kids at the party, he's picked up and thrown into the dumpster, where he meets a couple new friends. One final quote. His fall was broken by dozens of plush bears that looked exactly like him. Dozens of discarded lonely Freddies. Help! Alec thought he heard himself say. Pretty soon, it was every bear in the bin, their thin, muted screams for help swallowed by the metal and darkness that entombed them. Alec and his new friends, dozens of the lonely ones. Ah, what a great closing line for that story. It is so
I need to get these
heartbreaking
books.
to see
I'm
this
already
misguided
on
kid
the
suddenly
Apple
learn to
Book
love his
app.
family, only to have his chance at redemption ripped away by these animatronics.
That is
it
crazy.
Is so,
I'm sorry that I'm on my phone
sad
doing
as a
videos, but
story.
it's for
But here's
FNAF's
the
sake.
thing, for as
Maybe I should
sad
read
as
them
it
for a
is,
video.
this story
If you guys want me to read these for a video, let me know after I post this. I'm gonna buy the books right now, but I'm not gonna read them. I'm gonna wait, I should probably change the thing. But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna don't want my credit card. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna buy these books and let me know once we reach this. Should I like do a live stream, a FNAF reading or something like that? I don't know, but man, this is insane.
carries over yet another recurring theme that we're seeing develop in these books. That animatronic...
Whoa, wait! Fuck! There's more? Wait.
Story carries over yet another recurring theme.
I don't pause this much during reaction, but okay, so what is that? 1:35 a.m. Nice name, Scott. But like, step closer. I'm assuming that says that because it's Foxy's curtain. Bunny call? What are these?
Animatronics are stealing the identities of kids.
All right, if
in
y'all
the
want me to
first
read all
book, we
those,
had the
so
story
you can see
To
my
Be
reactions.
Beautiful, where Baby steals the looks and identity of a girl named Eleanor. Here, we have ourselves another robot AI, this one housed inside the Lonely Freddy module, stealing the body of Alec. This, to me, is right in alignment with what we've been expecting from Vanny in the new FNAF game that's slated for release later
that's what I was
this
talking
year.
about, the
Remember,
cult.
in FNAF VR, we hear the story of Jeremy, and how he cuts off his own face in an attempt to reject the system taking control of his brain. And when we beat that game, it ends with Plushtrap basically locking us away and taking over our body. We let him escape through us. But what
this used to be about ghosts, now it's about rogue AIs.
we thought was happening on a small scale, one person getting taken over in one game, instead appears to be happening to kids in pizzerias everywhere. It's further evidence supporting this theory that I did on FNAF VR, where the story from this point forward is basically Afton creating an army, a cult, a bunch of brainwashed, or more accurately, body-swapped people hiding in public, hiding in plain sight, taking over bodies one by one. Kinda makes you wonder what FNAF 2020's got up its sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Before we look forward, we actually have to look
See, we're probably used to the jump scare, but nah, it's gonna be like a whole cutscene where we get sent into a room and then they take our bodies. I'm betting that.
backward. You see, there's one last topic I'd like to explore
That's
with
gonna be
this
at least
final
reference
story,
once in
and
the
it's a
FNAF 2020
doozy.
game.
It's the
So I think I
parallels
just
that
called
this
that.
story has with FNAF 4. In fact, I believe that the Lonely Freddy story is helping us to solve what is one of the longest-standing mysteries in this franchise,
The
and
Buck.
also one of the
Can
strangest
we have a movement to call it the Buck now because of that one guy who yelled at Mad Pat?
conclusions that we've never really had a solid answer for to begin with. And that, my friends, is the true story of Psychic Friend Freddy.
Oh, it's
He's
back.
Here, he's there, he's
the
everywhere.
remaster. Let's
Who
go.
you gonna call Psychic Friend Fredbear?
It's a remaster
But
of
in
the
order
song.
to tell you why, I'm gonna need a bit more time. So until then, my friends, there's only one
I've heard that
last
song
thing to
since, like,
say.
2000.
Do you want to save money on pizza? Yeah, that's right. All this Freddy Fazbear talk has gotten me hungry
Is that a
for a nice
sponsorship?
little slice
That's
of pizza.
sponsorship, Mad Pat.
Luckily, restaurants and
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, it's a sponsorship. But check it out. I guess I'm not a part of it, but if I'm reacting to his video, I might as well help it out. Anyway, so yeah, that's oh, geez, I guess I missed more than what I thought. So yeah, that was the newest FNAF theory, Grave Robber from Matt Pat. If you guys want me to check out the new books and read them on live stream or something like that, make sure you guys smash that like button. Tell me what you guys. Tell me what I missed, because I was confused throughout all of this. Like, tell me everything that I missed. What's the story of FNAF VR? What are these rogue AIs taking people? What's going on? What's going on? Let me know. But I guess since I'm planning on reading the books, I won't miss much. Or I guess I'll get what I missed. But anyway, guys, I'll see you all later. Peace out. I need to get this uploaded so people can give me their opinions on me reading the books.